This is the HoverAir ProMax. It is a drone that 00 Robotics would like you to believe is an extension of yourself, a selfie stick in effect, and in today's video we're going to be doing a very thorough review. Now previously 00 Robotics came out with the HoverAir, or originally the HoverCamera X1. That drone was rather nice, but my biggest complaint with it was the fact that the camera quality on it was not the best. With only 2.7K and 12 megapixel pictures with not a lot of light, the pictures were okay for the average person, but I felt like I really would have preferred something a little higher quality in today's age. So now enter 00 Robotics HoverAir Pro Max and Pro. This is the Pro Max version, but interestingly, they've adopted a lot of those features. They've kept it about the same size. It is a little bit larger, but they have added in a really nice camera. It goes all the way up to 8K on the Pro Max, and they've also taken the steps to make this a lot better in my opinion. I feel like this is really a solid drone and is a serious contender for something that I will take on vacations over my DJI Mini 4 Pro. So inside the packaging, you're going to be greeted with the drone itself, a charging brick, and also a battery charger with an extra battery in there. Also, here is the remote controller, and when you open up, you can see all the different little parts. You can use the main piece, or you can click them all together. As you notice though, I had a little bit of a problem with my right joystick. It wouldn't slide out. I think it came broken from the factory, but they're sending me a replacement. The power case as well opens up nicely, allows you to put the drone in there. There's a little adapter you have to put it on the USB-C port on the drone, but other than that, it looks like it works great. There's a number of reasons why I like this drone, and I think my only complaint with this entire drone is the fact that the RC, the dedicated controller that you can get that works with this, is quite buggy. But on the bright side, that is something that's fixable, and they are making measurable progress by putting out consistent updates, at least from what I've seen so far, that show that I have a feeling that will change and likely be fixed rather soon. Similar to the HoverAir X1, you have the same kind of user interface with the ability to select options and then a little screen on the top to tell you information. But on the inverse of that, you also have an app that you can connect to that allows you a lot more granular control. A lot of the control that you can get out of this, whether or not you control it manually from the phone, whether or not you are controlling it by setting settings, I really do like that this is, I think realistically all you need to take this drone somewhere is a phone and the drone itself. You don't need really much else, which I think is nice because I'm used to with like a Mini or something, having to take the RC, having to take a phone, having to take the drone. Like that's a lot to carry around. Just throw this in the pocket if you're really desperate, and it's more than capable on its own. So the user interface on this I think is already well tuned. This was tried and proven with the HoverAir X1, and now with this it's just the same, only now with a much nicer camera and some additional bells and whistles, especially for some of the dolly tracking and the obstacle avoidance, which we'll touch on in a second. The RC interface has a lot of work to go, but luckily I think everything that I really have complaints with is software. So besides that, I think the buttons and some choices on how the screen does a display, so you effectively put your phone in the RC, how that works, the ability to only really take video unless you start a video and then you can take pictures, and even those pictures are not full size. There's a lot of little minor tweaks and stuff that I think need to be addressed, but all of that is clearly software. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the RC. Obviously the RC was not as well fleshed out, but I do definitely appreciate that for a certain type of person, because the RC using the phone to directly manually control this drone gets a little wild. I think the RC allows you to get much smoother shots and effectively use this like a camera drone rather than just being a portable selfie stick in effect. So the flight performance on this actually really has two main parts. One is that if you just take off, obviously it's not going to have time to acquire some type of GPS service, so it's just going to take off and use the onboard cameras on the bottom to kind of track and follow you around. That's actually all you really need for like 90% of the stuff that you're going to be doing, especially if you're using this, as I said, as in effect a selfie stick. Now, where the GPS comes in, which I think they've branded it something differently, but in effect it's GPS. This is able to acquire GPS, and then it's able to fly effectively as high as you want. Now you get into like the concerns about like the RC and stuff. This doesn't really give you any information about distance, height, battery when you have the RC on and you're using RC. All things that I think are essential that need to be added. But at the same time, the GPS is really nice when it's acquired because they use it. They say that you should use it then when you're flying over water or you're flying over something that's moving, that the onboard camera on the bottom, facing down on the bottom for the optical flow, that when that can't make sense at the bottom and can't stay still, that's when they use the GPS. Now, also when you're using this in manual control, you can only fly up so high, which already I think you can fly up high enough that it's just about the top of the trees around here at least, is about how high you can go without the GPS acquisition, much higher than a DJI drone and much quicker than a DJI drone. And then when you want to go through and use the GPS and fly higher than that, you have to wait for it to acquire. I definitely do think that allows you a lot more quick response to taking a picture of something. I remember one time I wanted to capture something in the dark, and it took like 5 minutes for my Mavic 3 to acquire the signal, the GPS satellites to go fly up. So it's really nice being able to take this, respond to something really quickly, and go out, especially now with the camera being so nice. So there's a lot of different tracking modes. I think there is what I would classify the really dynamic ones, and then there's just kind of the standard ones that you're thinking of. So you have like your zoom out, bird's eye view, hover. These are all kind of really self-explanatory. The bird's eye view and the zoom out, in effect, are kind of dynamic shots, and they're kind of, for, like, in my opinion, you only use them once or twice on a blue moon. The hover is nice, where it hovers and moves the camera around and looks at you. That's nice if you want to capture some action. I think that's really like a personal cameraman in that regard. But I think where it really shines specifically is when you get into the tracking, specifically when it's either doing like a dolly track where it's in front of you or some type of tracking behind you. Now, both of these shots, I think, the way that this works is really interesting because this drone, in effect, tries to not... This drone makes some good assumptions on how you're going to behave, and in effect makes this drone really safe, in my opinion, and kind of foolproof if you know what you're doing. So, for example, when it's tracking you from behind, it assumes that wherever you walked, it's safe for the drone to walk, which I think is a pretty solid assumption. Now, obviously, there can be things happening, things can move, etc., but this drone assumes, which as the original HoverAir X1 did, it follows the path that you walk. So obviously, I walk through like a dense forest. It's going to try to follow in the path that I would have walked. So it's interesting that's really cool. Now, on the inverse of that, when it is following in front of you, doing a dolly track where it's looking at, like, where the camera is now, it is, in effect, with the Hover camera or HoverAir X1, that drone had no sensors on the back. So it was just kind of at the luck of wherever you were walking. It just assumed that the direction you were heading was going to be safe, and it could crash into things and have issues. Now, with this drone, you do have two sensors on the back. You have an infrared sensor and an actual camera on the back as well that helps it discern its environment. Now, I personally found, in my opinion, I feel like the only thing that's really being used is this little infrared sensor on the back. It's just detecting immediate obstacles, because I noticed that when the drone was trying to course correct, it really couldn't actually in my opinion, make use of that camera, and it would often find itself in binds because it would try to course correct and couldn't detect. I think it either needs more of like a fisheye lens or maybe some additional sensors and maybe future versions that can allow it to detect that there's obstacles in the direction it's trying to go. It often would really try to course correct, and that would kind of create some issues as well. Other than that, though, I think the assumptions that it makes is pretty solid. This drone is, in effect, especially when it's doing a dolly track, it's pretty predictable. You know it's going to hit something pretty quickly, and in order just to stop it from hitting something, you just stop walking. So it's not like this drone is doing something wild or unpredictable up in the sky with, I think, in my opinion, DJI drones tend to be, is that you don't necessarily know what's going on. Whereas this, I feel like if you're walking in a straight direction, if you're even moving a little bit, you know how this is going to behave, and it's very predictable. I will say, however, that the noise on this drone was, in my opinion, a little too loud. And I don't know how that's solved. I think that's just a complaint that I don't really have any good recommendations for, because I think the main use of this is especially tracking like action and movement. And when I was walking around and talking, I found, even with the microphone on my chest, even a lavalier mic, that the audio that the drone noise was still audible. And I felt like I was just walking around, and I wished that the drone was silent, or at least quieter. And I found that even with setting the drone to fly as far away as possible, it still ended up really having that issue. So I don't know what the fix for that is. Maybe in the future version, make it a little bit quieter. I think maybe because it's a larger drone, it's still loud. But I did just find myself wishing that, yes, this is a personal cameraman, but I'd also wish that the audio is usable too. They even have this feature on the beacon or part of the RC that allows you to connect in audio, and I just found myself wishing that it was a little quieter. Now, when you use the phone as the RC for manual control, when you're using this in a sense like a traditional drone, the controller itself, the sticks, it's really hard to know like if you're being precise, and also you have to have multiple hands because you have to be able to move the gimbal. I feel like that is good for the vast majority of people. However, once you start wanting to get some dynamic shots, you want to start getting something that's more drone-esque, where you're capturing an environment instead of a person, I feel like the RC is necessary. However, that RC is lacking a lot of features currently. You can't take a picture directly without first starting a video, and then when you take that picture, you also get kind of like a cropped frame rather than the full 8K picture or the 48 megapixel picture. However, the range I found was pretty good. There was a couple times that it bugged out. This is not something I would use if I was strictly trying to capture environment. I'd probably use a different drone, but I do find that long as you keep this drone relatively close, maybe you're flying up, maybe you're just flying somewhere you can see, visual line of sight kind of stuff, I found that the range on the RC specifically was more than adequate. So I also have this quick charge. I think this is what they use for like skiing or something. This allows you to basically charge the drone on the go, which I found was actually really nice. I would effectively load the drone in here. I'd keep this in the bag, and I always found that the drone was charged and ready to go. It is a lot nicer than having to switch out batteries. And in my opinion, I would be recording something. I'd record something for a little bit. I'd check the video, etc. I put this back in here, move to a different location, and I found that it just kept the battery topped off, which was very nice when I was trying to just keep using it. And I think it's good, and it helps augment the fact of the battery life being much better than the Air 1 or the HoverAir X1, but on the same time, it also just had some issues. And I think this still has some issues with like a 20-minute battery life. But I also think that it's, especially with the offset of having the recharging pack, allows it to actually go through and get full utilization out of this a lot more than you would by itself. And that also brings me that flight time of 20 minutes. I found that when I was recording something, I would, to have it fly, record something, walk for a bit. And I was able to get 2 or 3 of those, maybe even 4, depending on what I was doing and how long I was doing it for. And I felt like, yes, if you were maybe recording yourself doing a bike ride or something, long duration, sure. But I feel like this drone is best used when you're trying to capture a short, like, action or memory or something. And using it in that way means that you'll get a lot of uses out of this. I feel like a lot more than you would have gotten with the original HoverAir X1. So I've also done a lot of testing with the camera. I think the camera on the Pro Max, because it's actually a different sensor, is basically allows you to do 8K video. It's got 48 megapixels. It's really nice. I have found that the 8K video is extremely sharp when there's enough light. It also has a little bit of noise if you're not careful, but I think that the low light is somewhat of a concern. I've noticed that when it started looking kind of, I want to say similar like a GoPro 8 or 9 when we start getting into the low light situations. But on the bright side of that, when you have enough light, it looks really good. I was even noticing like when I was in the shadows and stuff, it had some issues. I felt like it was kind of noisy. And then it also, in a step up on this also has the ability to record 4K 120 FPS. And that also requires, especially when you're recording a high frame rate, it requires a lot of light. So if you don't have enough light, even when I was flying up, I was flying above the trees, I was looking around and stuff, I found that the low light on this just, you could tell that even though it was 120 FPS, even with enough light, the video still did not turn out the best. On the inverse of that though, the HDR, when you're recording in 4K, 60, whatever, for the HDR on, the video does look really nice. I think that it's just the luck of the draw. It's a substantial step up from the original Hover camera or HoverAir X1, but also I think it is a lot more competitive with DJI's Mini 4 Pro because I feel like the camera quality is nice. I feel like it's pretty much on par. It's got some additions that make it even a little bit more competitive with 8K video. I will say the 8K video is not flawless if you're pixel peeping, but I do think that it in return makes a much sharper image than something you would get on like a Mini 4 Pro. But also, I think the low light is a little worse because of that. But that's just from my observations looking at the video, which I have up now. The picture quality, again, in my opinion, looks really good. All kind of the same issues that we talked about with video. The pictures, depending on what platform you're taking on, if you're taking pictures on your phone with manual control from your phone, you're going to get the full 48 megapixels. And then with the RC, I get this crop thing. I think this is a bug. And also the RC doesn't allow you to change any of the settings. You actually have to disconnect the RC, connect on the app, then change the settings on the app, then connect, like, you know, what frame rate it's recording at, etc. Then have it disconnect from the app, then reconnect the RC. And then there were multiple times where the RC would just brick itself. I'd have to reboot it, and then I could get it to use again. I understand that's all bugs. And I have a feeling that I enjoy this drone personally a lot. I think that it is something, given that the progress that I've already seen, I do think it's going to change. And I think really that, and maybe the low light performance isn't really my only complaints, but you can only ask so much for a drone this size. And I personally think that when I go on vacations now, this is likely, it's between this and the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but this is likely what I will take if it's more of a personal, me-focused vacation, if I want to capture some memories of like a group, versus if I'm going somewhere pretty where I'm capturing a lot of landscapes. I think this could even be used in that way too. Now, if I was doing a dedicated video shoot of capturing some type of environment, I would probably choose a different drone, but I think that's okay. That's not what this is targeted for. And I honestly got to say, I'm really happy with this drone. I really couldn't ask much else. I know who it's targeted for, and they did a really good job in my opinion. So if you want to check out my video of the original Hover Camera X1, you can check that out in the description. I also have a bunch of other different drone reviews and a couple other ones coming up as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you around soon, and goodbye.